Hello, everybody. Welcome to Finsweet Live. Today we are talking with Sergey about our new logo update. Sergey is a designer at Finsweet. He's been here for a long time. What, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, it feels like
Something about
forever.
it does. And that's a good thing. He's been with us for a long time. So he was one of the decision makers in this logo refresh. And this episode, we're getting right into the content. We're not going to have any announcements or any other information here. We're going right into branding and why we made this decision. It's going to be very design focused. We don't normally have these types of episodes, but we do today. It's all about the design decision to make this update. And the audience prompt
Even though we
is...
drop design as a service, right? We're still designers. Anyway.
Yes, we are still designers, absolutely. Now, the audience prompt is, what does a rebrand mean to you? If you were to define rebrand, what does that mean? Please add that into the comments, and we will pick out some comments that we want to talk about. But this is really, it is a rebrand. That's what we're looking at right here. And we have a new website coming. We have a lot new style coming. But the first thing is this logo, and we're starting to update it everywhere. So, Sergey, new logo. Let's see this logo board.
Yeah.
The next slide here.
There we go.
There we go.
So,
That's it. Black and white, really simple. We used to have a little bit more color into the brand. We kind of simplified it to this black, and now it's formalized the black and the white. And really, the biggest change is the change from the F lowercase to F uppercase. Also, the removal of that S. So everybody has known Finsweet with lowercase f, lowercase s. This is a logo mark that we've used everywhere. Everybody knows it. And now we've removed the S and we've made that F a capital letter. So this was a small change, but also a big change, right? We still have that icon there, but it looks different. It's a little bit different.
I don't know. I feel like this is the huge change. This change is really huge, especially based on discussions we had, like hours and hours and days, weeks of the discussion, and what the impact is going to be to the brand and what the impact is going to be to the users that really mentally attached to the brand. So this is huge change, like, small step, but change is huge.
It is. And it was a huge decision, right? I guess I said that because it's not a big visual change in terms of changing the icon or redefining the whatever. It's a simple change that we think will have a big impact. And that's why I really like it. It's a really, really nice update in my eyes. And we'll explain all that update in this show. Let's go through this rebrand question in the comments here. Cooper Sam says, to me, a rebrand means the company is growing and evolving. Sergey, what do you think about that, growing and evolving?
I think this is exactly why most of the companies try to rebrand, because they grow, they want to change the perception of the brand. They want to show it visually because people mostly visually attached to the brand. And when they see this visual change, this means about something is changing. So most of the companies, they change in a better way. They don't want to be smaller. It means it's growing, evolving. And for sure, like, it also goes to simplicity. And, people really want the brand be so big that big and simple. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Big and simple. Well, yeah, we're going to look at some of the biggest brands and how they've gone more simple. And yeah, I think that's kind of the trend for now, for today in design. It's simplification. And Mika Dixon says a pivot or clarification in business trajectory and motivation. Yeah, that's right in line with that. Jonathan Holden says realigning with who you have become. Yes, this change, this evolve, this is realigning with what you are right now and what you're about to become. Matisse from Finsweet says to make your brand visuals aligned with your values, culture, goals of an organization. If that change, brand needs to be adapted. Yes. So this idea of evolving and growing, I'm doing something else. And now the brand, and Matisse says specifically the visual brand, has to adapt with those other changes in the company. That's cool.
Y-
Okay, we'll bring up
Yes,
one
and
more from Bahul.
that was one of the biggest decisions that we made. We moved forward with the brand because the way how we grow is also changed, and now we are not just like agency. We do not only Webflow sites, we also do products, we also do community. So we growing, and the logo had to be also bigger. So that's why we got this capital F.
Yeah, a lot of changes really since that first logo was made. Since the lowercase f and the s, there's been massive changes to Finsweet. You wouldn't even recognize the two companies next to each other. So yeah, it almost felt like we needed to update. We needed to make this change. Okay, great. That's enough with the comments. Let's now go on to this next slide with the capital F. This was the difficult part, right? This was the part that everyone was thinking, well, should we do this? Is this the right move? Because the very first feeling is I miss the S. Sergey and I talked about this for hours and hours and hours. Are we going to be in trouble that we're changing this brand mark that we've really owned internally for the past 2 years? This F in suite, F in something, FS. It's something that we've really owned, and now we're just letting it go. So Sergey, talk about that decision. How do we get here?
So our biggest fear was that when people say Finsweet, they actually speak with two words, Fin and Sweet, meaning we're losing this S. So when you see FS, you almost saying Finsweet. And that was the biggest fear why we're dropping that S. But also another big decision why we drop it, because Finsweet is the one word, and we want people always type it as a one word. Also, in the previous logo, F was a bit of losing, and it has like, from the bracket to F to smaller S, it has a weird tendency of getting smaller and smaller. But we want the grow. We don't want to be smaller and smaller with the next step.
Mm-hmm. That's a great
Also,
one. That the
another,
oh
yeah, keep going.
that it almost felt like the F was being eaten up by that bracket and the S, that it just got lost in that mix. So we have this change. We're afraid that we're going to lose the community or lose the way that people see us in the community. We've sold merch. Let's see this next awesome slide. The merch now has to be updated. Yeah, there we go. Vincent, big supporter of Finsweet. We really appreciate it. But look, he is repping that FS. And now that's a change. So this is big, right? People they're really used to it. And that was such a big fear. And I really do say fear when we were updating this logo. It wasn't like we were going through 20 and 30 and 40 iterations of different styles. It was more like conversation after conversation after conversation of the potential impact the lowercase to the uppercase can make. So yeah, that was it was a fear. It was a big change. Sergey,
Yep.
thank you for putting
It
this
was a
photo
fear.
together, by the way.
Nice, yeah. And also, For us, I think this is not that expensive as that could be for other companies that have a lot of merch. Like imagine something like Apple, or changing from Apple to, I don't know, pineapple. So they have to have this logo on every product everywhere, like on all the products that they produce, on all the, like merch stuff. And imagine the change on the logo for maybe cars. So if the car brand is changing the logo, this logo should be changed on all the cars. For sure, old cars will still have this old logo. Yeah, so it's good that this is not that expensive for us, but this is the big decision anyway.
Yep, absolutely. I'd love to bring up a comment from Lucas Machado. This is so good. And let's go to the next slide as well as we bring up Lucas's comment. Lucas says, at first, I didn't like the first capital on the logo too much. But after a few days, and especially when looking at it on Twitter profile pic, it made much more sense and it looks better. I think a lot of people had that reaction to this logo change. And I think a lot of people have that reaction to every logo change, where you're so used to something and then you see it differently and you're like, I don't like that because I don't know what that is. And then you like it. It grows on you. It becomes more special. You now start to relate the company that you liked to this new logo mark, and it becomes okay. And that happened to me. It happened to Sergey. It happened to a lot of people that saw this logo at first, and now internally at Finsweet, everyone that was part of this now likes it and says, I can't believe that we were considering this. This really feels like the right decision. And this right
Yeah.
here says it. Brand is not only logo and colors, brand is how people see your company. Sergey, what does this mean?
And also remember this redesign of the rebrand of Instagram. People hated this new logo. Like a lot of memes been coming through. That was huge change for the company. And even on Netflix, you can find a series where they explain how 20 people during like 2 months had a lot of boards and why exactly they have changed the logo. So they even had this like series on Netflix explaining why they changed the logo, but people were joking a lot about this change. And yeah, brand is not only logo and colors. Brand is how people see your company. This is true, and this is really true for Finsweet. What does it mean? For us, it means a lot because we are a big part of the community, and community get used to see FS, and repeat this. Even in comments, we see like bracket at FS. And we want to be capitalized. We want to be bold. We want to be bigger than we were before because we're growing.
And even going deeper into how people see the company, people see it visually, but they also have an emotional attachment to the company. They also, when they use your product or they watch your tutorial video or somebody downloads your clonable, there's a different emotional attachment than the FS. So FS plays a part in it, but really the value that we give you in attributes or client first or a clonable or a tool or a product or whatever, that's where you say, I like Finsweet. This is a company that I like. We could have a terrible logo update and hopefully our value is strong enough where you're still going to like us. So I see that logo as just one part of it. It's the visual side is one part of the brand. It may help you encourage people to see your company in a good way, but it's not the only thing. If you have a terrible product and a terrible support, it doesn't matter how nice your design is. You could have the best design in the world. It doesn't matter. The product and the support and the community and everything around your business is really the all-encompassing brand. So let's go to this next slide and let's see one of the most iconic brands and the update of logos since its inception. Apple. I mean, people know and love Apple. People are addicted to Apple. And Apple could have a terrible logo update, and I think people would still love Apple equally as much. But you can see this massive change between the first logo all the way through. And then Sergey at the end put that funny, maybe in the future logo, further simplified. And
Yeah.
yeah, you could see the
It's also
simplification.
interesting
It
that
goes,
it's also interesting that on 1998 it had almost the same logo as they have in 2022. So actually this shape is really strong, and over the years it didn't change too much. But you see how they have been falling into trends in 2001 and 2007. Like trends had impact a lot to the logo. They added this gradients, and you see this is like more complicated logo that you see like people when start more having this flat design and simplifying things. So in 1998 they actually had pretty much the same as they have now.
things were simple then. There was a layer of simplicity in that logo, and it came back. Let's look at Microsoft, and then we're going to look at Instagram, and then after that, we'll look at Finsweet. So this is Microsoft. We see kind of similar here, where the logo gets a little bit more colorful, a little bit more intense, and then it starts to simplify. And now I believe we're on the path of simplification. And again, Sergey, the last item, a joke simplification where Microsoft eventually just turns into a blue box. Maybe. And then Instagram. Wow, look at that first icon. I didn't even know that one existed. But there were significant update. That is a highly complex logo mark. And I remember when that current logo came out, people went nuts. People were really against this logo update. It had such bad press around it. And then after a few weeks, everybody loved it. And then you look back on that old logo and you said, wow, I can't believe that I was actually comparing these two logos. Of course, the newer logo is the right option here. So I love this Instagram story. I lived through this and I felt it. And you told this story earlier in the stream.
Yeah. And actually this change of Instagram logo was also because they were growing and they were growing different services. So they brought more services to the community. You know, like, and they were using now the same background with different icons. You can see this in the application. So that was why they have changed this. And that would not work with the previous logo for sure, because this is more tied only to the photos. But now they are not only giving people seeing pictures, also videos, also what people do with those videos, like reels now. Also, it's a story, and they have like more services. So the logo is with more simplicity. They give more freedom.
Value. Yeah, totally. Love that. All right, let's go to the Finsweet evolution. So now we're going to look at this same path for Finsweet.
Yeah, I see the funny logo, Finstagram. This is funny. There you
Zach's always
go.
making good jokes. So we have the first Finsweet logo. This would be the first official logo of the company. And yeah, it was just more. We had the accent border around the text. You could see that icon had a lot of colors. It was very intense. And then we moved to more simple. And we still use that top icon, right? We've still been using that colored icon, but we said, hey, there's a lot of instances where we really need to simplify this. This yellow and this purple, it doesn't work for everything that we're doing. All the web properties may have different brands and different colors, and this doesn't fit in it. So we need a simple version. And then when we did even more, when we completely changed the company, we said, well, we need to make another change here. And we feel that there needs to be another change. And that's why you see this new 2022 logo with the capital F. And to me, the part that I love the most about this is that the F feels so much stronger. When you look at that logo, the first thing I see is F. When I look at the logo in the middle, the previous logo, the first thing I see is not F. It's almost like sweet. That's the first thing that I visually go to. But really, we want the F. We want that to be our logo mark. So
And
yeah,
also
this is the
another part
evolution.
of the rebrand is typography. So you see how much better typography is now on the new logo. Previously, I was following, the previous brand, but actually T at the end of Finsweet was too long. I know that maybe designer tried to align it with the F, but actually when you do this with letters and then you move it, you change it a bit, it might have a huge impact. And now you don't have this balance of T. It's kind of feels weird when you see this like bigger T, and you see how this like in new font is not aligned with the F, but this is how the font work. And also kerning was not that correct in the previous font. It was working well with outline, but when we have removed outline, it's kind of feels broken. And also F is a bit bolder than other letters, also feels weird. So we definitely had to change something about the logo, and typography was a big part. Even I like FS as the icon, but the full logo, that's needed like change a lot. And I love the change. I love this F got really strong, and it takes a lot of space now in the logo.
Yeah, and that brings up a nice comment from Zach. Zach says, new icon is strong. At a small scale, it's much more functional. Totally true. It's so much more bold. It looks so much better as a favicon. It looks so much better as a social icon. We're going to get to the squares and how everything is perfectly equal throughout the entire icon. And Zach is exactly correct here. A lot more functional. Brandon, great job on the font. Thank you very much. Tanette, it looks great. Tanette also asked, did we create that font? No, we'll get to the font soon. But it's a little bit custom. We have Dale, all this brand talk, loving it. Thanks, Dale. This is not a normal thing that we do, but now we're trying to bring more people at Finsweet into this live show. And now you'll probably see a little bit more design. And then a nice, great comment from Pixel Geek Nelson. I'm calling it now. The 2025 logo will be just the bracket. How did you know? How did you know that that's what we're going to do? That's next.
Next move, yeah. And actually, that comment about it's getting bolder on a smaller scale. This is so true, and this is what probably every company should do when they design the logo. So if you want to check if your logo good, just make favicon and put it into the tab in your browser and see how it looks comparing to other logos in your browser. Like when we have open next FS logo that we had before, and the next we had the new one definitely looked bolder, and you can see it immediately.
Yeah. Let's go to this next screen with the colors. To further simplification to this point, Brandon Tancott says debrand is 100% a big brand trend. Yes, debranding, just becoming more simple. And here we have our new white, black with our yellow bright accent. And this doesn't mean that these are the only colors that can be used in the Finsweet brand. We're going to invite a lot of colors in the Finsweet brand. But when we look at the Finsweet.com brand, which we are remaking, this is going to be the color combination. And this yellow, I just love how it accents against the black, and it really creates a clear view. So, Sergey, these colors, what do you love about the simplicity of them?
I do love simplicity about the colors, also because we have moved a lot to the product side. And from the product side, being simple and clear is so important, because your product, when it's clear to the user, when it's clean, this is much more important than when you put a lot of efforts into UI design. So everything is simplified right now, like everything looks the same, people do patterns, and this is because user experience is evolving more and more into the products. It's value more than UI design. So everything is simplified. But it doesn't mean that we don't do really cool stuff, and you will see this with the new site. We invest actually a lot into visuals, but we want to have content and perception of the brand be clean and clear. So the content should be super clean and clear.
Our new website has colors that you've never even seen before. It's like it's the most ridiculous presentation of colors that I've seen in a long time. However, regardless of that, all the colors and all of the great graphics that we're going to release there, the content follows these colors. Anytime we have written text, anytime we have text content of any sort, it needs to be clear, it needs to be readable, it needs to have high contrast, and these are the colors we use for that. So we're just separating. We're not becoming boring. We're not just going to completely debrand. We're going to simplify certain parts of our brand, and then we're going to turn the volume up a lot on other parts of the brand. So it allows us to be a little wild while still maintaining this feeling of, hey, I can understand the Finsweet brand.
Yeah, and we
Great.
we achieve a lot of flexibility with this simplicity, actually, because now with this simple rules, we can go as crazy as we want, but we always keep stuff on top simple. And this comment from Jay Pocher about you getting close to my to be is really cool, because when I look at those numbers, I also think about meaning. So to be, it's like B2B, business to business, right? So this feels like, and for us, this new black that we have is 111, means also that Finsweet is first. We're trying to be first. So 111 also, like, it's true that when you have pure black, it's a bit too hard for your eyes, but also 111, it's like we first. It has for me a special meaning, same as FFF is the first letter of Finsweet.
Yeah. Nice. I love the hidden meaning in the hex. And we did talk about that. Do we go 111, 222? Do we go some variation of that? And yeah, we landed on the one. I also don't like the pure black for all instances. I think just the off black gives a little bit of contrast. Also looks really cool on dark mode Twitter, which I was really happy about when I saw. John Matthias says, I honestly can't wait to see fully new Finsweet website. I love the current one, but I'm looking forward to that evolution too. I'm sure to get some inspiration. Our current website is so long overdue. It needs to be updated. We have been working a tremendous amount. Sergey's been spending months on it, and it will get there. It's a big presentation. But yes, I think there will be a lot of inspiration on this new site. Also, the site itself, but also better presenting our work. The current site was built in that first logo iteration, and that was before we did any products, before we did any community. We kind of tried to put some of that stuff in there, but it's really an agency site. So now this new site is going to be a company website, which includes agency, which includes products, which includes community. So it's a real deep change for us. All right, let's go to that next screen here. The difficult decision and just consistent back and forth Loom videos and talks and messages. I would send Sergey like 20-minute Loom videos of me just dragging around this stuff and saying, hey, this doesn't really line up. This kind of lines up. Like, can we make an adjustment to this so it lines up? And it was just endless talking about the tiniest details. And this is a screenshot that Sergey took of one of my presentations to him in Loom, which is funny to
Yeah,
bring
that
up.
was the one video where you have been like dropping all those like pieces of the letters, trying to measure the distances, And Joe also was really keen to see perfect square, and probably that was one of the reasons why we started the Wally brand. So you see, like in this purple square, how the distances on the left and right are not the same as on top and bottom, and we try to kind of align. But when I try to do something like sacrificing the distance between letters to make it just higher to fit to the square, it never worked, and that never worked because of the S. We tried to do everything. We tried to have S as capitals. We tried to make the brackets
Let's
same height as the F, but it never
look
worked.
at the next
Yeah.
screen. The next screen is exactly this. Cover this, and now there we go. So Sergey, keep going with that. These are the things that we tried to make it into a perfect square, to not have a small width padding and a big height padding. So Sergey, talk through this.
Right. Yeah. So actually, you see, like the first logo, capital F1 was one of the first ideas. So why not to try it? And sometimes you think like, no, this is like too simple to do this. So I have to explore more and more. And we tried FS, and actually FS was the first logo that Joe said, I love it. And that was another live stream where he just took the screenshot of speakers and he just put it FS to one of the speaker t-shirts, and he sent me to the Slack, and he showed me like the screenshot, and he said, I love it, so let's move with FS. And actually, yeah, so we're saving S. People still feels this Finsweet. But then like in 1-2 days we said like, but we're losing this bracket. Bracket is super huge part of the brand. We cannot just drop the bracket, but we can sacrifice S. And I did this change. We put it to the new website, and Joe was like looking 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, and he said, I love it. So that was like difficult decision. In 4 days he said, I love this change. And then we tested with other people on the team, like 2 or 3 people. They've seen this change, and that was the same reaction. They hated before, they hated it like immediately, but after 1, 2, 3 days they loved it. So that's how the decision was made.
I remember that top right FS icon. I instantly didn't want it when somebody said it looks like an Adobe product. And right away, I
Yeah.
lost all my enthusiasm for that. The Photoshop, Dreamweaver, like whatever, Illustrator, all of these have the capital and the lowercase, and it just looks like it's part of the Adobe suite. And yeah, when I heard that, I said, absolutely not. There's just no way. And now I cannot get Adobe products out of my mind. So yeah, then we started exploring that top left, the current version. And as we got more and more into it, it just made sense for us. Let's go to the font slide. This next slide here. And we have been using Graphik probably for the past year, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
less than a year. But we have been using Graphik for some time. And the reason we are using this font is because it is so readable. I just really like reading this font as large font and as small font. So we are no longer going to have two separate fonts on finsweet.com or any of our properties. We don't have a heading font and a paragraph font. We have a font. And this one, I think, works for both. It works for a big, giant, ridiculous title. It works for a normal title. It works for a small text. It works for footer disclaimer text. It just works. So we went with the Graphik. And Sergey, how much of Graphik is inside the logo right now? And which letters did you adjust with the font?
Yeah, so we will talk about the bracket itself, how we did change the bracket. We just changed slightly F. Even if it's simple, we have aligned it a bit and we made it look more, so it looks like really native in this logo, I would say this word. We didn't change too much because I do believe when people develop the font, they put a lot of efforts and they are pros in what they're doing. They're really professional people doing fonts, and especially Graphik Font is really well made. It's balanced a lot. We also tried to make less curves in the font. But as I said, we didn't change too much in the font because I do trust those designers who develop the font. You should know a lot about design. So this is something not like every designer can do fonts. This is like, it's like studying another something that more difficult than just like, just pictures or art. I feel this is more about studying the kerning, yeah, that's a lot. So I trust those designers.
And it's also cool that when we write out the word Finsweet in Graphik, it has a very clear resemblance to the logo. You don't get that bracket, but you get the text. Let's go to the next screen here.
And by the way, another decision why we didn't change a lot, because if you would use Finsweet as a word when you just type, you're not using SVG or whatever, then you get the same shapes in the text. So that's why it's dangerous to change font a lot. Yeah, let's move to the next one. Ta-da! back at story.
Dolphin. So the bracket story is, I knew that brackets were important in web design. I knew that it was part of CSS. I had no idea what that actually meant when I chose this icon for Finsweet. I started with no experience. I just knew it was important. And I said I would always say that it was the tail of a dolphin. And Sergey made this great illustration showing our current bracket on the bottom, and then with some curvature and seeing the dolphin jump up. And just a kind of a silly story looking back on it, because it's just such a clear and good icon for us. I didn't want to let that go. Like we were talking about the capital F lowercase s only, and losing the bracket felt like more of a loss than losing the S. So yeah, I love this graphic. It puts a smile on my face.
Nice comment from Gabe. Take my money. I need this as a short. Yeah, we can do the short.
That's our shirt.
We can do it. Nice.
Yeah, and we have a
And
great
actually,
comment from Dennis Krug. What I dislike most, 2 weeks ago, I got this snapback, and now I need a new one because I'm obviously outdated. F in chat. Wow. Yeah, Dennis, sorry about that, but like Zach says, now it's a collector's item. Dennis, yeah, you have an outdated logo snapback, but hopefully it's still cool.
the cool
Question
thing
from
about it is
Josh.
that in 5 years, people know that you are FN Pro and you've been with Finsweet for many, many years.
Yeah, it's true. That is very true. Comment from Josh, is a dolphin the mascot for Finsweet now? No. It is not it's not the official mascot, but you will see a dolphin in the new site. So it is now one of the mascots, but it is not the primary mascot. That's all I can give you now. All right, let's go to this next slide.
Here is the evolution of the bracket, and you can
Yes.
see native bracket from Graphik Font. And when you type just bracket and then you say Finsweet in Graphik Font, it's horrible because it doesn't align with F at all. It breaks the entire logo. Uh, it's nicely fit with the dolphins though. Like it's really curved like a dolphin tile. This is cool, but this is not aligned with capital F at all. So we wanted to change it and we wanted to actually use parts of the logo uh, to make the bracket. So that's why I got F and T. And actually T was less curved if you see here. So in T, you see like this is less curved, and when you put the T, you just like put it top and bottom here. It's kind of like perfectly making this line on the bracket, right? So now what you need to do is you need to add the radius here and over here, and then that's where you get this bracket. We also straighten up these two lines on the bracket, so it's perfectly aligned with capital F.
And this straight bracket is so important to that icon and the logo looking uniform and looking clean, because the F just doesn't have that wavy kind of bracket feel. It's straight. So we made the bracket as straight as we possibly could without turning it into a square bracket, right? This was the minimal amount of curve where you can still see it as a bracket, but it's got this straightness to it. So this is a great evolution from the native graphic to what we think is best.
I do remember that you asked me to have zero radius, and that felt so weird. With the zero
Yeah,
radius, it felt like another bracket that you use when you're coding, but
yeah,
that was completely off the brand.
totally. Let's go to the next slide. Now you can see there are a lot of rebrands that do these very complex calculations. We did calculations, but they're not this complex. But a lot of times when big companies go into a rebrand, you'll see things like this in the rebrand docs. So let's now go to ours, and you can
Yeah,
see
and
it's a lot
sometimes
more
I'm just
simplified than
like
that.
really, sometimes I'm wondering whether people really do those calculations or they do those calculations after they rebrand.
And there it is, capital F, perfectly aligned. Same distance on the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. There's an equal distance between the base of the F, that vertical line in the F, and the bracket next to it. And this kind of alignment made so much sense for the new brand, because on our new brand, on our new website coming out, on all of our properties, we're trying to simplify everything. Equal spacing, high contrast, everything clear and simple. We're doing less with curvy waves and we're doing more with straight and clear sections. That doesn't mean you'll never see a circle. It just means that when we have the opportunity to go square or rectangle or straight line, we're going to do that. And that's why this F is so powerful for us. And being able to be centered exactly on that board, to me, gives this sense of alignment. And that's alignment in the logo, that's alignment internally at the company between all the things that we do, and alignment with acting how the community wants to, what the community needs from us. And all of this is about just being clear and simple and even. So yeah, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite visual of the entire presentation.
Nice,
Sergey,
yeah.
you made this.
I agree. Yeah, we made it together actually.
Yeah.
That was like tough process, but that was really interesting process. And this is so interesting that small icon now represent the brand so much. We put into those like we put the meaning and all our love into the small icon. So when you see this icon, you can feel the brand, you can understand how bold it is and how simple it is.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. So it goes right in line with our business actions and the way that we want to present the business and the products and the support and everything. We try to get better and better and better at this, and we want our logo to have some representation of that. So there was a lot of thought put into this. As you can see, this wasn't a let's just swap the F and the S, change the text, and we're done. We really thought about this for months. We talked about it. We really, really got deep into this. So I want to open up the comments now. Sergey, you'll say something after this, and then let's go into the comments. Let's address any of these questions or anything that people have about this change. Could be about the logo, it could be about the new website, it could be about anything. We're here to answer some questions.
Yeah, sure. And I also wanted to mention that actually making the full logo was not that as difficult as making the previous one as the symbol. Because when you have just changed from small f to capital F, it doesn't feel like a big change. And for sure, changing to another font was the right decision. So that was easy. Like there were like almost zero discussion about this change. But when we started changing to icon, that was the big discussion because dropping S is big part of the brand and actually F as small. Okay, changing F from small to big is not that big, but losing S was difficult.
Yeah. Let's bring up some comments, some really nice positive vibes from people. Dale, so many details to cover, no matter how simple the result. Yes, thank you. Agree. Penny, very clean. I love this alignment. Thank you, Penny. Mauricio Pieber, I love this alignment style. Thank you. Dale Jensen, super clean and strong. Thank you very much. Jeremy, very cool and love the reasoning behind it. Yes. Simple reasoning, but the reasoning's there. It wasn't a blind decision. Tanette, thank you. It looks like it's ready for some updated square note cards. Thank you so much, Tanette. Tanette sent a beautiful set of note cards to me and to Reimar about with the Finsweet brand on it. And it was such an amazing gesture. Thank you so much, Tanette. And now I've used some of them, but now the remaining ones will be vintage. They're going to be like old school. So I appreciate that. I like to have old things and say, ooh, remember that. Remember when we had this logo. Remember when we did this. So very cool. John, OMG, the alignment with the bracket F soothes my OCD. Yes, love that. This idea of equal and aligned, it just feels good. It makes me feel good as well. Scott, did you have to expand it for the inverted logo? No, these are exactly the same, identical. The only time we change that logo icon is when we have a tiny logo. So for example, a favicon, if you were to load, let's say our new client first V2, if you have the new V2 early release, you'll see that logo F as the favicon. And we just take a little bit of space outside of the sides, but it's still a perfect circle. That's the beauty of it. We get this big bracket F with a little bit of border, and it's perfectly centered. But there's no size change between white and black. Jeremy, now I have to update my t-shirt. Yes, to all those merch buyers, you will have to update. Let's see. Scott looks so smart. Cool, thank you. Zach, glass window mock-up. Oh yeah, we need like the Times Square, New York City Times Square mock-up of our new logo. I like that. Zach. Robert, let's have some merch. Yes, we're going to revive our merch store. Our merch store was kind of created for an event, and then we didn't really put too much love towards it. But now we're going to pick up the love with this new logo refresh. So yes, that's coming. Penny, I
Yeah,
have a big box
definitely
of
coming
Remember
with
When samples. Nice.
definitely coming more merch when we release new website. So we're gonna wait for this, and then we come up with more for sure.
New website, very cool. It's very impressive. We don't have a release date. We don't know when. It's one of those projects of when it's done, it's done. And we are working hard on it, but it's not done yet. I will say that there is a lot of code on this new website. Like the whole thing is built in Webflow. It's 100% Webflow plus this massive code repository that's managing the visuals in the project. So it's intense, but it's coming, and we're working hard for you. Don't worry. Dennis Karg, I love this. The new Finsweet logo feels exactly like how I see Finsweet today. Effing straightforward.
Nice.
Yes. Transparency. We are always trying to push transparency, straightforward. We just want to tell you exactly what's up. And this is a no nonsense logo here. That the smaller F, the smaller S. Not that it wasn't straightforward, but this one feels more straightforward. So Dennis, I like that comment.
I also love this
Cool.
comment because we also trying to do even documentation now more straightforward, more simplified. We
Yeah.
do all our products with this idea behind keeping everything simplified, keeping everything more accessible to people. Uh, don't make people think, don't make people read. They should understand product immediately without any confusion. And new branding is representing this mentality, this ideation, 100%.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. So this will be the end of today's show content. I will tell you what we have on Thursday. Thursday, 12 Eastern, Finsweet Live, we have Harshit here, who's going to talk about the difference between freelancing, creating your own agency, and joining an agency. Harshit has done all three very successfully. He's been a freelancer, huge success. He started his own agency, which was growing and a huge success. But ultimately, he chose to join an agency. He's been at Finsweet for over a year now. He is a top performer here, and he's going to talk about the difference of those three, why he made that change, why he's comfortable with the decision, and I think it's going to help other people make that decision. Not necessarily to join an agency, but to help understand your options, because you have options. And that's what we're talking about Thursday. So definitely check that out. I want to give a thanks to Sergey for being on this show. This is his first official live show, and he came here looking like a pro. This is not easy to do, to just be jumping into live. We don't really have official show notes or anything. We just went by those slides. And yeah, big congratulations. I hope that you are back here on the show to talk more design stuff. And if you like the design stuff, give a like on the video. Please like it, share it, whatever. If we see that people like the design stuff, we're going to talk more about design stuff. Sergey, any final
Thank
words
you.
to the crowd here?
Thank you, Joe, for having me here. I really excited to talk about design, and I hope we gonna talk about design more. Not only design visual, but UX design, about simplicity of the products and everything. And actually, that was not the first live show. I was on the first. Um, what did we have that
Critique?
show when we critique? Right? Yeah, I was
Yeah.
on the first critique. So
That doesn't
I
count,
get some
though. That doesn't
experience.
count.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
this
I
kind of
agree.
format, this like presentation talk show format, it's just such a different experience than that. But yes, technically the second one, and great job. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
that's the end of Finsweet Live today. Thank you, Dale. Well presented. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Zach. Really appreciate that. Penny, thank you. Brandon,
Thank you,
thank
guys.
you. Joseph, thank you. Thank you all. So we'll be back on Thursday. Have a great rest of the day and go make some great design decisions for your brand. Talk soon and see you later.